Ever get that feeling like you should watch your back even when you're at work?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's what we're talking about today in this deep dive all about insider threats.
Yeah, those times when the biggest threat to a company isn't some hacker, in a dark basement somewhere, but it's actually somebody who's already on the inside.
Exactly. We're talking about insider threats. And, it's not always some malicious act, right? It could just be negligence.
Absolutely.
Or maybe even a compromised account that wasn't their fault.
Yeah, clicking on a phishing link or, leaving your laptop unlocked, huge consequences.
Yeah, for sure. And that's where insider threat programs come in.
That's right.
So we've got a whole stack of information from Delinea.
Okay.
They're a cybersecurity company, and we also have some great insights from an expert named Bert Blevins.
Sounds good.
So think of this deep dive as your crash course in how companies are trying to prevent these internal disasters.
Yeah, and how you can apply some of these principles to your own digital life.
Absolutely. So first things first, what even is an insider threat program? Delinea calls it a systematic strategy, which sounds a little vague to me.
Well, it is a little vague. It's really kind of a multi-pronged approach, I guess, is a good way to put it.
Okay.
Combining policies, employee training, and technology.
So it's not just about putting up a firewall and calling it a day.
No, not at all.
Okay.
And a lot of it focuses on the human element.
Right.
So you can have the best technology in the world, but if your employees aren't aware of the risks and they don't know how to handle sensitive data properly, you're still going to have problems.
That's true. I remember when I started my first office job, the cybersecurity training was basically a 5-minute PowerPoint.
Oh, yeah?
And a signed agreement saying I wouldn't download any games.
That's pretty common.
Yeah.
But Delinea is pushing for a much more comprehensive approach.
Okay.
Things like clear data handling procedures, phishing awareness training, and a solid incident response plan in place.
Oh, so if somebody does click on that suspicious link, there's a clear process for damage control.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about minimizing the fallout.
Okay. I like that. And so on that note, let's kind of shift gears a little bit and talk about how technology fits into all of this.
Yeah.
We've got a video here where Delinea talks about just-in-time permissions.
Oh, yeah.
Which sounds very interesting.
Yeah, this is a great example of how technology can really bolster security. Okay. The idea is, instead of giving employees constant access to critical systems, they only get temporary permissions when they absolutely need them to perform a specific task.
So you're minimizing that window of opportunity
for
someone to accidentally mess things up.
Yeah, or if an account gets compromised, somebody gets in there, the amount of damage they can do is limited.
It's limited, right?
That's right.
Okay, and so that's a far cry from the old days of always on privileged accounts.
Right.
Which it makes you wonder how we survived that long. But speaking of experts who are all about controlling access, let's bring in Bert Blevins.
Yes.
He's kind of a big deal in the world of cybersecurity, right?
Oh, he's a legend. Especially when it comes to this idea of privileged access management.
Okay.
And he's not just a tech whiz. I mean, the guy is an entrepreneur, educator, community leader.
Wow.
And get this, an Ironman triathlete.
Wait, Ironman, like the swim, bike, run, torture fest?
That's the one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That takes some serious discipline.
A lot of discipline. And honestly, that kind of discipline translates really well to cybersecurity.
Oh, okay.
It's all about thinking ahead, being prepared, constantly pushing yourself to improve.
Yeah.
And Blevins really embodies that ethos.
You can't be complacent when it comes to protecting sensitive data.
Yeah.
It's a constantly evolving game.
Absolutely. And luckily, Blevins is all about sharing his knowledge.
Good.
Yeah, he's got all these YouTube videos that are just packed with practical tips that anyone can use.
Okay, so less theory, more actionable advice. I like it.
That's what we like.
Let's dive into some of those golden nuggets of wisdom from Blevins.
All right, let's do it.
So Blevins' YouTube channel is like a treasure trove of cybersecurity tips.
It is.
What's the first one that jumps out at you?
Well, he has a whole video dedicated to password rotation in Red Hat Linux.
Okay.
And it's not just about, changing your password every few months. He goes deep into why it's so crucial for sensitive accounts.
Okay.
Especially those with, elevated privileges.
Yeah, I get password rotation for like my personal accounts.
Right.
But for like IT admins managing tons of systems,
Right.
that sounds like a logistical nightmare.
Oh, it can be. But that's where automation comes in.
Okay.
Blevins is a huge advocate for automating those password changes.
Okay.
Not just for efficiency,
Right.
but also for security.
So taking the human error element out of it.
Exactly, because even the most diligent IT person is going to flip up,
Oh, yeah.
forget to update a password.
Right.
But with an automated system, you can make sure those passwords are being changed on a strict schedule
On a schedule?
without having to rely on somebody's memory.
Okay, so automated password rotation. Check. What else did Blevins hit on that our listeners should know about?
Well, he's a big proponent of something called OTP MFA,
OTP MFA.
which sounds very technical,
Yeah.
but you probably use it already.
Wait, is that the thing with the authenticator apps?
That's it?
Like, I've got like 5 different ones on my phone right now.
Yeah, me too. It stands for one-time password multi-factor authentication.
Okay.
And while it might seem like kind of a hassle to enter those codes all the time,
Yeah.
it really does add a significant layer of security.
Okay, so, but is that overkill?
Wow.
I use it for my banking and email.
Right.
But is Blevins saying that you need that for like every single account you have?
Well, he's particularly passionate about it when it comes to privileged accounts.
Okay.
Those with access to, really sensitive systems or data,
Okay.
because in those cases, a simple password, even a strong one,
All right.
just isn't enough.
So it's like having 2 locks on your front door.
Yes.
If someone gets past one, they're still stopped by the second.
That's a great analogy.
Okay.
And his videos actually go into detail on how to set this up
Okay.
using popular authenticator apps like Google Authenticator or Authy.
Awesome. So we've got strong passwords.
Yep.
Multi-factor authentication covered.
Uh-huh.
Anything else from Blevins that we should be highlighting?
Well, he also dives into the world of cloud identity discovery,
Cloud identity discovery.
which is a whole other ballgame when it comes to insider threats.
Okay.
Think of it as like creating a map of all the users and permissions within a cloud environment.
Okay, so mapping out who has access to what.
Yeah.
Why is that so important?
Because cloud environments are complex.
Right.
It's very easy to lose track of who has access to what data and what systems.
Yeah.
And that's where those vulnerabilities can creep in.
You mean like someone having access that they shouldn't have?
Right.
Or someone using their legitimate access for malicious purposes?
Exactly. So cloud identity discovery really helps organizations gain visibility and control over those permissions.
Okay.
So they can spot potential red flags and mitigate those risks.
So it's being proactive rather than reactive.
Exactly. Trying to find the weak points before somebody else does.
Right, okay, I like that. And Blevins actually gives a kind of chilling example in one of his videos
yeah.
about cloud security threats.
Yeah.
He talks about attackers using a technique called enumerating cloud services.
Yeah.
Enumerating cloud services.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
So imagine an attacker has gained a foothold in your system somehow.
Okay,
The first thing they're going to do is start trying to figure out which cloud services are running.
okay.
Things like Azure, AD, Office 365.
Mm-hmm.
They're basically building their own map of your cloud infrastructure.
So they're doing their own twisted version of cloud identity discovery.
Exactly.
Looking for those gaps and vulnerabilities to exploit.
That's right.
Gotcha. And that's why Blevins is such a strong advocate for these proactive security measures.
Yes.
It's not enough to just react to threats.
Right.
You got to anticipate them.
Got to stay one step ahead.
Stay one step ahead. It's like a chess game, right? You're not just responding to your opponent's moves, you're trying to predict them
Right.
and plan your counterattack.
Exactly. And in this game of cybersecurity, chess, knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power.
The more you understand about the threats out there and the tools you have at your disposal,
Uh-huh.
the better equipped you are to protect yourself and your organization.
Okay, so we've got the policies, the training,
Yeah.
the tech tools. It's starting to feel like a pretty solid defense against these insider threats.
Yeah.
Is there anything else companies should be doing to kind of stay ahead of the game?
Well, Delinea brings up a really important point, and that is ongoing audits and assessments.
Okay.
Because you can't just set up an insider threat program and then forget about it.
Right, because the bad guys aren't exactly standing still.
Exactly. New threats are popping up all the time.
All the time, yeah. So it's really important to make sure your defenses are still strong,
Okay.
that you're adapting to any new vulnerabilities that might emerge.
So are these audits like a team of cybersecurity ninjas sweeping through the company looking for weaknesses?
Maybe not ninjas, but it is a pretty thorough process.
Okay.
They'll look at everything,
Okay.
from your technology to your policies to your training programs,
Okay.
and they'll identify any areas where you might be exposed.
And is this just a job for the IT department, or does everyone kind of need to be involved?
Everybody needs to be involved.
Okay.
The best defense really is a culture of cybersecurity,
Right.
where everybody from the CEO down to the intern
Right.
understands their role in protecting sensitive data.
It takes a village to keep your company's data safe.
It really does. And speaking of taking responsibility,
Yeah.
Bert Blevins actually touches on a really interesting concept in one of his videos.
Okay.
He talks about the need for resilient secrets for disaster recovery.
Resilient secrets sounds kind of mysterious.
Yeah, it is a little bit.
What's he getting at?
He's essentially asking, what are your most important digital secrets? Passwords, financial info, personal data,
Right.
and how well are those protected?
Oh.
Could you recover them if your devices were lost or stolen or completely fried?
Wow. I never thought of it that way, honestly. I've got some passwords written down on sticky notes.
Yeah,
Probably not the most resilient system.
not ideal, no.
No. It's a good reminder that cybersecurity is a journey,
It is.
not a destination.
It's not a one-time fix. It's something you have to be constantly working on.
So what's the takeaway for our listener? Where should they even start with all of this?
Well, I think the first thing to realize is that cybersecurity is everybody's responsibility.
Okay.
We all have data that we need to protect,
Right.
both at work and in our personal lives.
Right.
And it's not about becoming, a tech expert overnight.
Mm-hmm.
It's about taking those small, consistent steps to improve your security habits.
Okay.
So start with the basics, strong passwords, multi-factor authentication. And then think about how you handle sensitive data, both online and offline.
And don't forget about those resilient secrets.
That's right. Maybe it's time to ditch the sticky notes and invest in a password manager.
Yeah, for sure. Good advice. And if you're hungry for more practical advice, definitely check out Bert Blevins' YouTube channel.
Absolutely.
We'll link to it in the show notes.
He's a wealth of information.
He is. And hey, if he can conquer an Iron Man, we can definitely conquer our cybersecurity to-do list.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time, stay safe and stay informed.